Okay, this is in response to Crosscheck's rebuttal in our so-called salvation debate. And let me apologize first off to say that I've got a bit of a sore throat and my voice is very raspy, and I don't know how long it's going to hang in there for me. So it's probably going to be a brief response. But I didn't want too many days to go by without my response. So I've been traveling, and so here I am back in the studio. I have to say, Crosscheck, I think you're in over your head here. You said that I misunderstood you, that you were not promoting lawlessness. I realize that you are not intentionally promoting lawlessness. My point was that your argument, by implication, says that Christians are under no sort of requirements, under no law. That is promoting lawlessness. You didn't realize it. You walked into a trap. You went into this long-winded explanation, taking Paul's argument that Christians are not under the Mosaic law, which of course they're not. Jehovah's Witnesses would be the first to say that. And it's ironic because other fundamentalists would accuse Jehovah's Witnesses of not obeying the Ten Commandments. We don't keep the Sabbath. But you use Paul's argument to say that Christians are under no law. That was your point. Only belief in Jesus. But we are under the law of Christ. And you had apparently not considered that. So now you're backtracking, doing a little damage control. Oh, wait a minute, we've got to pick up our torture stake. And that sounds like a requirement to me. Picking up one's cross. There's something more involved than just believing. You did your viewers a disservice. You accused the Watchtower of promoting a false gospel for the reason that they attach certain requirements to salvation. And your position is there are none. Maybe you're changing that as we go along. I don't know. We'll see. But you quoted from this 1983 Watchtower, February 15th, I think it was on page 12, and there was just a couple of sentences there, and it said that some people find this hard to do, to follow these moral requirements. And you even printed it out there on your first video. But you left off the last sentence there. But it said there are moral requirements, and it cited Scripture, 1 Corinthians chapter 6, I think it was verse 10 and 11 and 12. And that's where Paul expressed astonishment, speaking with the Corinthians. He said, what, do you not know that unrighteous persons will not inherit God's kingdom? He said, do not be misled. Neither fornicators or adulterers or men who lie with men or drunkards or extortioners or all these vile things, he said, will not inherit God's kingdom. But yet that's what some of you were, he said. But you've been washed clean. So they repented. Something was required of them. They left off a vile way of life. They believed in Jesus. Okay? But that wasn't all. Some of the Corinthians had gone back to an immoral way of life. That's why Paul was writing them. They were tolerating a man in their congregation who was living with a wife of his father, his stepmother, basically. And Paul said, that's immoral. Remove that wicked man. So how can you argue that there are no requirements other than believing in Jesus? And there we have the article you cited this very scripture, which you neglected to even bring out or quote, but you really walked into a trap because now you have to backtrack. Let me ask you the question. You said you would respond to any question. Are Christians required to be moral? How can you say otherwise? Yes, of course. So is that a false gospel? Does abstaining from fornication, is that something that's not part of Christianity? Well, of course, you'd have to agree with that. So then my real question is, do you have the honesty and the integrity and the humility to admit that you misrepresented what the Watchtower teaches. That in fact, what they stated was clearly in harmony with the scriptures. It's not a false gospel at all. So, what will your response be? That's it.